Today I'm going to be showing you the next process after you create your maquette so you can move forward. So this is my maquette I have made for this sculpture. It is bigger than what I have told you guys. It's okay if your maquette is a little bit bigger. You just won't be scaling it up quite as much, okay? But I am going to be scaling mine up to roughly 8 inches, and you guys can also, 8 inches in height, and you guys can also make yours a little bit bigger if you would like. I told you 7 inches in one direction, but you can blow that up to 8, even 9 inches if you would like in your biggest direction, okay? So the first thing you're going to do is measure your height. And you're going to go from the very bottom to the very top edge of your sculpture. Okay, and I roughly have 5.5 inches in height. I'm going to go now measure my width. So I'm going to go to my furthest point over here to my furthest point over here. Okay, when I do that, I'm getting, roughly 3 or a little bit more inches in width. And then the next one is like you're going to be measuring your depth, so how deep it is from here to here. So you want to go from your widest point to your widest point. So I'm going to go from there to there. It's about 1.75 inches. Okay, so once I have those measurements, you're going to be doing a little bit of math, okay? So if you follow the steps that I'm about to go over, and you can rewind this video and kind of go back to make sure you're following it correctly, I know that you can do it right. Okay, so my height, I told you it was is roughly 5.5 inches, my width and my depth. Because I want to scale this up, and again, I made my maquette bigger, so I'm only scaling it up, multiplying each of these numbers by 1.5. Some of you will be multiplying by 2, some of you 2.5, and others 3, depending on the size of your maquette. But you're trying to get roughly in between 7 to 9 inches at your biggest measurement. Okay, so my biggest measurement is here. I multiplied it by 1.5 and I got 8.25. At that point, because we are pouring plaster into a box, you want to make it an inch bigger because as you're chiseling, it gives you a little bit of wiggle room if you mess up. So after I got my measurement blown up, I just added an inch to it. And again, 3 times 1.5, 4.5, push it up an inch, 5.5, and so on. So I have all my measurements. Now I can start thinking about my box and how it will be created. It is much easier to create your box all in one piece. Not only is it like easier to cut out, but it's also easier or stronger and sturdier to hold the plaster. So with that said, I drew out a box, okay? And it's not to, I didn't actually do 9 inches and 5.5. I didn't do all that. Okay, so my measurements from here, so I drew out my base, and my base is the 3.75, depth and 5.5 inches wide. So I drew that box. That's my kind of like my base. And then the sides, because those are tallest, will be 9 inches on all sides. Realize this box is going to fold up. So this is it laying down. When it gets cut out, it'll kind of all fold up and become a very vertical rectangular box. Okay, so when I got all this drawn out, I did more math. So I measured from my longest point to my longest point, like all the way through. So I got 24 inches from here to here. And then, From here to here, I got the 24 inches. That's my longest measurement because 9 plus 5.5 plus 9 all the way across is 24 inches. From here to here, 9 plus 3.75 plus 9 is going to give you the 22.25. Okay, so now I have all my measurements. Now I'm going to go to my box. I've already kind of done, I already drew this out. And to be as efficient as possible, so we're not wasting a bunch of cardboard, I started at the edge of the cardboard and measured in my longest length, which again is that 24 inches. And then I measured here this way to get my 22.25 inches. Okay, so I'll hold this up so you guys can see it a little bit better. And as you can see, it's drawn in there. I have the rectangle 9 inches, 9 inches, 9 inches, 9 inches. My middle box 5.5 inches by 3.75. Yes. So I drew all that in, and then I wanted to show you these tabs that I created. Okay, and the tabs are there so that they can fold over each side. And I only have 4 tabs because that's all I need. Once I fold it together, it'll lock all together. Okay, so once I have the tabs drawn in, and they don't have to be measured out or anything, I kind of just like, you want to draw it at an angle from the edge and an angle from the edge, and just kind of like straight down. So once you've drawn that on 4 sides, it doesn't matter if I would have done it here or here. I just need one of them where they touch. Okay, so now that I have this all drawn out on top of here, I am going to take an X-Acto knife and I'm going to cut just the outside edge of everything. Okay, so all the way around. So all I'll be losing is this section, this section, this section, and this section. Okay, and what will remain is this whole thing. Once you have that, I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, how you fold it together, but don't move on to that step until I talk to you about it. When you are cutting with an X-Acto knife, it is very important that you put something underneath where you're cutting so that you don't cut into the table and we don't have a bunch of scratches on the table. The X-Acto knives I am going to put on the countertop below, like, I'll show you real quick. I'm gonna kind of put them over here so that you have access to them if you need them. If you haven't created your maquette, that is obviously the very first thing you want to do before you move on. If you have any questions, you can email me. But that's kind of what we have in store for Thursday if you get to that point. Okay, so do the best you can. One more thing, the cardboard that you need is all the way on the other side near the door. You can see there's scrap cardboard there. Some of you are going to need some larger pieces and some of you aren't going to need quite as big of a piece. Just make sure with your measurements you have a large enough piece. And that's all I needed to go over. Thank you for listening.